Welcome, bienvenidos, buenas tardes, o buenas noches from wherever you're listening to Mateina, powered by Somos Mateina, your podcast. That is all yerba mate. I am Thomas, your host, as you probably know, and it is another Wednesday. And with that, another episode of Mateina. I am delighted to be here again, and hopefully you are also delighted that you are listening to this episode because we have a lot to talk about today. We're talking about, of course, yerba of the week. Then we're talking about something, or better yet, we are announcing something. I have the pleasure of announcing this. I put a lot of work in it. It was a very busy week, and you'll hear about this in a second. And then we also talk about how to create your own mate empire. And I'm not talking about starting a business or anything fancy. I'm just talking about your gourd collection, your bombillas, your accessories that you bought over the years, and what do you do with them if you don't use them anymore. Some people use mate gourds, for example, as souvenirs. They just put them somewhere. They look beautiful on any shelf, especially the handmade ones from Argentina. Or some people just plant a little flower in it. So whatever you do with it, there's nothing wrong with that. But we're going to talk about this and what you can do to create your own mate empire. And today's title is very well sounding. I think it's called More Than a Cup. The art of building a mate setup. And as always, and now this is almost a standard now that we have accomplished all together, because we are working on creating a mate community, and that is the most important for me, to spread mate all around the world. We added another country that our podcast has been listened to, Denmark. So shout out to my Danish listeners. Welcome to Mateina. Please let me know, is Denmark a big mate country? Do you find mate in stores? Do you find the original form and the gourd and the bombillas? Or do you find them in cans and glass bottles? Let me know. Drop a comment or go on @Somos Mateina on our Instagram. But before we start with the yerba of the week, I am delighted because I put a lot of work in it. I put a lot of effort in it. And I am delighted and incredibly proud to have reached another milestone in my life. And for years, I've been debating this. It's been a dream of mine for a long time. Big decisions require a lot of questioning. I doubted it. I also carried it quietly through moments of uncertainty and even through a tragic chapter in my life. But through all of this, my passion for mate has never left me. And ever since I discovered yerba mate at this small farmer's market in Miami, if you don't know what I'm talking about, scroll down, go to the episode that is called The Shake Up. You'll hear my somewhat embarrassing but true mate story and how I discovered mate in Miami at this farmer's market that I mentioned. And after that, it became more than just a drink to me. It became a symbol of connection, of energy, of inspiration. The guys that sold me mate, they were Argentinians, and they were so kind and took the time to explain everything to me, because up until that point I had only seen it online, and Lionel Messi, Luis Suarez, and other soccer players carry their gourds like it is a World Cup trophy. But that was the moment when I started drinking mate, and it became part of me from that moment on. I carried my gourd like it was my World Cup trophy. And anyone who knows me knows how much I love mate, and I'm deeply in love with it. To me, it's more than just a drink. It's my passion. And to all of you who I have talked to much about mate, I apologize, but it was my heart speaking. And today, I am honored. I'm delighted. Because today I can finally say that I turned my passion into something real, into something big, into something that hopefully will be with me for the rest of my life. Because once it just lived only in my imagination, but now it has taken its shape. A community is forming around it. A dream is becoming reality for me. And change is choosing yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable sometimes, even when it feels risky, even when it feels lonely. Yeah, try to tell Europeans, Americans, people who are not from South America or who are not from Argentina and that region, what mate is, and let them taste it, and pay attention to their facial expression. It takes some convincing, but hey, remember when you had your first beer, wine, you probably didn't like it either, but it grows on you. And mate is something that is very healthy. And we should never forget that happiness is found on the other side of fear. And I chose to believe in myself. I chose to follow my dream that I've been harboring for so long. And I chose not to let doubt write my story. I wanted to be the author of my book. And if you are listening to this and holding on to something you love, never let go of this. Protect it, nature it, chase it. Your passion is there for a reason. And now that I've talked a lot and still haven't told you anything in reality, I opened my mate store. At this point, it is online under somosmateina.com. We have gourds, we have bombillas, we have accessories, and of course we have premium yerbas from Argentina, from Paraguay, from Brazil, from Uruguay. We've got it all. So stop by somosmateina.com. Go on our Instagram, somosmateina. You will find some goodies there, some vouchers, some 10% off gift cards. And that makes me very proud. This episode is dedicated to new beginnings, to resilience, to community, and to a prosperous year ahead. Follow your dream, trust the process, and don't forget that change is good. Yes, change is good. But let's dive into our episode today. Pipore. Pipore is the yerba of the week. And whether you're new to mate or have been a long time drinker, or you're just curious about what mate really is and why people all over the world are obsessed about it, but this green little bitter energizing drink that is hard to really describe. The flavor is very unique. This is the episode for you, because Pipore, it's not just another brand on the shelf, it's a story with lots of tradition, farming, global trade, and cultural identity. So, my yerba hooligans and mate aficionados, lean back, grab your mate, adjust your bombilla, and let's begin. But first, the mate sip, the first one of this show. What am I drinking today? Pipore, of course. And if you want to know, how it tastes? Stay tuned. We're gonna describe the consistency, we're gonna describe flavors for you. And if you have it at home, run, get it, fill up your gourd, water, bombilla in it, and start drinking it and sipping it. Yes, pipore. To understand pipore, you have to go back nearly hundreds of years almost, to a small town of Santo Pipo. It's in the province of Misiones in the northeastern part of Argentina. You've probably heard of Misiones many times if you listened to the podcast. Misiones just has the perfect climate. To grow mate is humid, it's subtropical, it's just a heartland of the yerba mate production. With the rich red soil, it's just perfect for growing mate plants. And today most of Argentina's yerbas, they come from that region. But in the early 20th century, it was a little bit different because that region was still being developed. So let's go back. Rewind to 1930, because a group of mostly Swiss immigrants. Yep. That reminds me, we have not had any Swiss listeners, at least not to what I can see here. So spread the word. Switzerland is around the corner from you. Call your friends in Switzerland and tell them to listen to this podcast, because now we're talking about the Swiss immigrants that settled in that region around Santo Pipo. And they formed a cooperativo called Productores de Yerba Mate de Santo Pipo. And their goal was simple. They wanted to work together. They wanted to share the resources. Again, this area was still being developed. And they wanted to protect the small producers from unstable markets. So for many years, this cooperativo didn't even sell yerba under its own name. They just produced raw and semi-processed mate that other companies packaged and marketed. But the heart of it was already the pipore yerba. And it wasn't until the early 1960s that they decided to really create their own brand. And this is also the year that pipore was born, in 1960. The name pipore comes from Guarani legend. In the Guarani legend, P-I, means foot, similar to Spanish. It's just spelled a little bit differently. And po means hand. And re means trace or mark. And together, the words refer to the footprints and handprints. Isn't this beautiful? Pipore means footprints and handprints, sort of. What a beautiful name. And according to local stories, a native leader fleeing danger left behind visible traces on the land. And those marks became a symbol of survival and protection. And over the time, they gave the town its name, Santo Pipo, and later inspired this beautiful brand. So from the very beginning, pipore's identity has just been rooted in that indigenous culture, the Swiss immigrants, and regional history. But before we even go further, it's worth taking a moment to understand what yerba mate really is. Again, it's not a test. All my listeners, you already know what it is, right? But for everyone who is new to this podcast, and we're growing every week, I just want to give them a quick, simple, fast reminder. So don't go anywhere. It's just max a minute long. What is yerba? Yerba comes from the leaf that grows in South America. It's a holy tree. Ilex paraguayensis. Indigenous people consumed it for long. They considered it a gift from God. Beautiful gift, right? And if you can welcome God in your home and he gives you that. They used to drink it. They also used it as medicine and even sometimes for social currency. Traditionally, as you know, mate is brewed in a gourd, a calabash, or in a wooden gourd, or the modern ones, stainless steel or glass. You have a bombilla, sort of a straw that you put in, and then you pour hot water in it, 75 degrees Celsius roughly, which is 170 degrees Fahrenheit. 180 degrees Fahrenheit, around that temperature. And then you just drink it. You don't have to let it sit, you just drink it. And yerba contains caffeine, antioxidants, and various minerals, so it's rather healthy. It's also a smoother energy than coffee. There is no crashes, and you don't feel the nervousness that some people feel when they drink coffee. Yeah, so that was just a little reminder in which framework Piporé works now. And Piporé follows what's considered the mostly traditional Argentinian production process, and it's supported by modern quality control. So everything begins with nurseries. Yerba mate seeds, they are put in the grounds, they grow slowly, they spend about a year in protected environments before the plant is even in the open field. After planting it, it takes quite some time, 4 to 5 years, before the plant is really ready for serious harvesting. So this forces producers to think in decades, not in seasons. You have to take your time, just as you drink your mate. Things have to slow down a little bit. And harvest season is usually from April to September. Workers, known as tarefores, cut branches by hand using machetes and pruning tools. It's hard labor. It's physically demanding, often done in the heat of that region and in high humidity. And only mature branches are really selected because that allows the plant to regenerate. And that's very important. So once harvested, the leaves must be processed quickly, within hours often, because they go through a step called sapesado. And this step involves exposing the leaf to extremely high heat for just a few seconds. So this stops oxidation and preserves the green color and aroma. But without this step, the leaves would ferment and spoil. So after sapecado, the leaves get slowly dried. And this part reduces the moisture to very low levels and makes the product stable for long-term storage. So that gives it the dryness. And the dried material is chopped into larger pieces, the process called canchado. And at this stage, the yerba is harsh, it's bitter, and it's probably a little bit unpleasant. It's not meant for drinking yet. The real transformation happens during aging. And Piporé ages most of its yerba naturally in warehouses for 12 to 24 months. During that time, the bitterness softens a little bit, the aromas develop, chemicals change, and they create the smooth flavor. And many cheaper brands, they shorten the stage to save money, but Piporé generally does not. And all premium yerba brands, they let their yerba sit for at least 12 months. Because that is the most important part of the step, the aging. It's kind of like scotch, wine, so many other drinks. So after the aging, what happens then? The yerba is milled into its final cut. So it comes into a mill, combining the leaves, stems, and powder in specific proportions. Keep in mind, some yerbas don't have stems in it. It's mainly the Uruguayan ones. And then it's sealed, laminated, packaged, designed to preserve the freshness and its aroma. And that's it. That is what Piporé does in terms of production. So now that I can say it. Today, Piporé is not just a small artisanal brand. It's a major international exporter. You can get it almost anywhere in the world. And each year, the Cooperativo ships thousands of tons of yerba mate to more than a dozen countries. Some of its strongest markets are in the Middle East, especially in Syria and Lebanon. There is a very interesting story how yerba mate ended up there. We'll talk about this in our next episode. Yes, we're talking about how mate ended up in Syria and Lebanon, because mate does not really grow there, right? But it became popular because South American immigrants, they just settled there in the 20th century. And in those regions, Piporé is often one of the most recognizable brands. It's widely distributed also in Europe, Northern America, and parts of Asia, because Piporé offers a wide range of products designed for different types of drinkers. You have the flagship product, right? It's the traditional blend. This is what most people drink and also think of when they hear the name Piporé. It's that red pack, you've probably seen it, and has a classic Argentinian profile. The Suave version is the green one. It is milder and it's designed for beginners or people who prefer less intensity. And then you have the Sin Palo, and that contains fewer stems and produces a much stronger and smoother infusion. So there is a kick that you can feel when you drink that. But there's also special selections that are designed to last longer through multiple pours. But those three are the most known throughout the world of Piporé. And for cold brewing, can you do that with Piporé too? Cold brewing, they offer a tereré blend, of course. It's coarser cuts that work better with ice water. And this variety allows Piporé to serve both traditionalists and experimentalists. So what is Piporé's quality? We talked about 12 to 24 months until it is being packaged. And that's perfect, because Piporé is one of the biggest strengths is the long aging, which gives the yerba a smooth, rounded character. The aromas, they usually clean and grassy with subtle wood notes. They explode in your mouth. And the flavor profile is definitely reliable. Their quality control is very intense and works well. So if you buy a bag of Piporé, you know there is quality inside that green or red bag. So let's talk about a taste. I have to refill my gourd to really get my taste buds dancing. Drinking Piporé, the Suave, of course, because I like strong yerba. And since it's been very intense days recently, I drank a lot of yerba. Intense one. So when you open a fresh bag of that beautiful yerba, you usually get that grassy wooden aroma with a little bit of toasted notes. Some batches, they also have a light smokiness from the drying and aging process, but the first infusion, it's bold and it's bitter. However, it has a slight sweet undertone. And as you continue pouring, the flavor becomes rounder and more balanced. It's earthier, it's nutty, and it has herbal notes that come forward. But one thing is guaranteed, the energy, and that one is steady and noticeable, especially in the strong one. It doesn't usually hit as sharp as coffee, and it lasts longer. But toward the end of the session, the flavor fades gradually, which is normal for yerbas. But overall, Piporé sits firmly in the balanced traditional category. It's not extremely strong, although the ones without stem, they're more on the stronger side. But it's also not overly mild, not even the Suave. And now I just realized I said I'm having the Suave, but no, I am having the Sin Palo, not the Suave, because the Sin Palo is the strong one. You probably noticed it. It took me a little bit, so forgive me. It's been a long day. Yes, my friends. So what is Piporé really like? Who is it for? I would say it's for everyone. It's ideal for beginners who want a reliable introduction to quality premium yerba. It's great for daily drinkers who don't want surprises, and it is also for people who like strong yerba and experimental flavors with the Sin Palo versions. Yes, how would I now summarize Piporé if yerba mate were music, Pipore wouldn't be an experimental album. It would be a timeless folk record, familiar, comforting, and always there when you need it. And sometimes, or most of the time, that's exactly what you want. Pipore. Yeah, beautiful Argentinian brand. Started by Swiss immigrants. Similar to La Charito, which was started by German immigrants. Yeah, you can see a lot of German speakers moved to Argentina. Also a lot of Argentinians. Also a lot of Italians moved to Argentina, which is why you have delicious Italian fusion food or pizzas. And that is what makes Argentina wonderful. I was gonna say makes Argentina great, but I try not to refer to that or say that out loud. Yes, Pipore. But let's move on. But let me ask you first, have you had Pipore? If so, which one? Which is your favorite yerba? Which is your current gourd? What do you drink out of currently? Is it a classic calabash, or you drink out of something that is easier to clean? Although in my opinion, I think wood and calabash is super easy to clean. All you have to do is, when you're finished, of course, with your yerba, pour it out, rinse it out, no hot water, no soap, of course. Take a paper towel, rub the paper towel in it, make sure it's dry. Take some new paper towels, fill the gourd up with paper towels, turn it upside down, let it sit overnight, and it will be dry the next day. Or just put it in the sun if you have sun. Wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Talking about planets, empire comes to my mind. How do you create your mate empire? And now we're talking about business. Not about the business that, in the sense of selling something. We're talking about business. And that means yerba mate drinkers. And how some, me included, became obsessed with what they drink out of, what their bombillas look like, what their thermoses look like. I mean, look at the beautiful thermoses that you see in the streets of Argentina or in the streets of Barcelona, for example, or Valencia, or anywhere in the world where you have people drinking mate. There's lots of stickers on the thermoses. Stickers from countries that you visited. Your favorite soccer team. I have one from the Guinness factory. I have Lionel Messi on it. I have Holland on it. I have St. Thomas, the American U.S. Virgin Islands, and Bob's Burgers. Yeah, I don't know how that ended up on there, but I like it. That's my thermos. So at first, when people discover mate, they think it's simple. You buy some yerba, grab a random cup, stick in the metal straw, pour hot water, and that's it. But after a few weeks or a few attempts, mold grows. I have a story about that. How I discovered mate, as I said earlier, the Shake Up episode, the Shake Up, you'll hear my story and how I started a mold farm. But after a few weeks or months, something changes. You start noticing the difference. The gourd feels better in your hand. The bombilla doesn't really clog, which is a common issue amongst mate drinkers. So if you push your bombilla in, just make sure you put your thumb on it so it cannot clog. And one setup makes your mate taste smoother, while another one makes it more bitter. Different consistencies, different materials, they make a difference in the yerba world. So try to drink the same yerba from a wooden gourd, and then from a calabash, and then from a stainless steel, and then from a glass gourd, and you'll notice the same yerba tastes different every time. Maybe just a little bit, but you can taste the difference. And this is why you probably want to have more gourds, because if you use the classic one, the calabash, and it doesn't dry fast enough for you, and you want another sip of yerba, you want to make a new one, you probably need another gourd, and then you need another gourd, and then you see a gourd that you like, and then you see a gourd that has an emboss of your favorite soccer team or your name on it, and seconds later you take out your credit card and you buy it, right? Because you want to have it. And if you don't drink out of it, it just looks good. It's also a good present. So today, let's talk about how to build the setup that actually works for you. Not the most expensive one or the most expensive one. It depends how much money you want to spend on it. You can get yerba gourds for like 6, 7, 8 euros or dollars, up to, I don't know if there is a limit, $300, $400, $500, $600. There's aesthetic ones that a lot of people post on Instagram. And then there's the more basic ones. There is no right or wrong. It really depends what you want and what fits your habits. Because the perfect mate setup isn't just about copying someone else. It's about understanding how each piece works together. And you really have to understand why this matters. And we have to remember where mate comes from. Then we'll also understand why all of this is very important. Because in places like Argentina and Uruguay, mate it's not an Instagram story, it's not an Instagram reel, it's not a hobby, it's part of the daily life. It's people grew up watching their parents prepare it. They learn how to hold the gourd, how to pour the water, and how to clean the bombilla. It's almost becomes like muscle memory. And when you grow up in that environment, your setup evolves naturally. Some people discover mate earlier, some people at a later stage in life, especially outside of South America. It might take a little bit longer. You're not exposed to it as a child, but you want to experiment, right? You get your first gourd, you drink out of it, you think, oh, it's nice, like the taste, or no, I don't know about it. Let's try a different gourd. Maybe the taste is more intense or it's less intense. Maybe you burned your yerba, maybe you clogged your straw, which is the bombilla, because there's also different bombillas. That's why you just have to play around with it. And each calabash demands respect. Each bombilla demands respect, because you have to cure it before you do it. You have to dry it properly, because if you leave it wet, you grow a mold farm, just like I did. If you neglect it, it can crack. You can still plant the flower in it, but then you cannot drink out of it anymore. Owning yerba mate is almost like being a musician with its musical instruments. You just don't want to have one guitar. If you play the guitar, you probably have more guitars, right? Because every little thing that you have at home, every little item tells a story. Maybe you got it on vacation, maybe you bought it for a friend, or maybe you got it from a friend and that reminds you of something that you've experienced together. So either way, every item tells a story, and every calabash and every item that you have is unique. And as I said, the calabash, it demands respect, because you have to cure it before you use it. It does not allow you to be lazy. It punishes that. So for people who enjoy ritual and tradition, a calabash is the deeply satisfying way of drinking yerba mate. It connects you to centuries of mate culture. And every little scratch that you have in there, every little stain that may have been collected on that gourd over the years tells a story that reminds you of something. And then you have the wooden mates. They are often made from algarrobo wood or quebracho or palo santo. Those are types of trees. And you make mate gourds out of those too. These are beautiful. They're warm to touch. They feel organic. Some woods even add subtle aromas to the drink. It is very easy to cure. A little bit of butter, a little bit of yerba, let it sit 12 to 24 hours, clean it out, start drinking. And it is also very easy to dry. So it's perfect for beginners who want to get the true mate experience and not drink out of glass or stainless steel. Yeah, and then you have the stainless steel and the glass ones, even ceramic ones. They are good too. They're easy to clean, obviously. They don't give your yerba the intensity that you might want. If you really want, and I'm not talking about strength, I'm just talking about flavor. They don't enhance the flavor like calabash gourds or wooden gourds do. But the upside is they're easy to clean, they're easy to carry. Downside, they might crack glass. You gotta be careful. And they don't age with you. They will always look the same. And I think if you really like mate, you should go for a wooden or a calabash gourd, because that's the real way of drinking mate. And trust me, it is very, very easy to take good care of a gourd. You just have to know how. And if you want to know how, or if you have made experiences that are not satisfying to you with curing your gourd, go on somosmateina.com. We have a little chat button. Click on that. Write your question in there, and I will answer it as soon as I can. So go ahead. Not right now. After this, if you have any questions, shoot. So let's talk about bombillas, because this is where the most frustration comes from. Bombilla. A bombilla is not just a straw, it's a filter system. It has this beautiful straw-looking thingy, and I'm using the word thingy because that's commonly understood, I guess. But you have different kinds of bombillas. You have the filter system on the bottom. They can be very different depending on what kind of yerba you prefer, but I prefer the regular spoon-looking like filter system, because they really go with any yerba that you can get. If it's a sin palo, if it's one without stems, if it's the Uruguayan ones, or just the Paraguayan or terreres, Paraguayan terreres, or traditional Argentinian one. They go well with everyone. They don't clog if you know how to do it. Yeah, and then it really depends on what quality of material you want. Bombillas, they're just different. You have the stainless steel ones. They are normally on the lower end in terms of quality and price. But then you have the alpaca silver and gold and platinum and higher end materials that are also on the higher end of the budget spectrum. But they will last you forever, almost forever, or forever, depending on how you take care of it. And they're all handmade, and it's exceptional craftsmanship. And what does this spoon or bombilla do? When you put it in, it really filters the water through the yerba. And if you have the right bombilla for the right yerba, as I said, the spoon-looking one, perfect for every yerba, then your bombilla should not clog. Yeah, I don't know. My personal recommendation and choice is the classic spoon look-alike bombilla. Yeah. Alpaca silver bombillas are on the higher end. Copper and nickel alloy mixture. And they are traditional and beautiful. Heavier. And as I said, handmade and feel very luxurious. Not in an obnoxious way, it's just, it feels good when you want craftsmanship. And here, we have to talk about something that beginners often don't realize or don't really think about, because the bombilla should match the gourd. So if you have a small mate and a massive bombilla, it will not only feel awkward, it will also tilt to the side, fall down. So again, remember, you don't drink coffee. It's a mate gourd. You have longer sessions with that. You walk around with it. You cannot carry your coffee mug with you. You have to put it in a thermos and take it with you. But no, mate it stays in its organic container, in that calabash. You can take it with you. Easy. And you want the bombilla to be in there. You don't want it to wobble. Balance matters. Ideally, the filter head should sit comfortably near the bottom without pressing too hard against the sides. The stem should rest naturally near the mouth, and you shouldn't have to adjust it constantly. Because as we've learned in the previous episode, you should not touch the bombilla once it is in there. And that almost makes your setup perfect. Because you have your gourd, whether it's wooden or calabash. You have your bombilla, whether it's stainless steel or alpaca silver. But you still need to carry your water around, right? You need a thermos. And there is different brands, more expensive ones. We all know Stanley. We have Termolar. We have El Paisito. It doesn't really matter which one you take. There is no beginner thermos. There is no expert thermos. As long as it is good quality, as long as it keeps the water at its temperature, around 75 degrees Celsius or 170 to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, it's perfect. You get a silver one, you can put stickers on it. You get a black one, you put stickers on it. You get a black or a silver one, you don't put stickers on it. It is your creativity that you can let go and just let it flow and do with that thermos whatever you like, because it's your thermos and it represents you. So you have everything then, right? And that's wonderful. But just because you have one set doesn't mean you don't want to have another one, because you want to try a different shape. You want to collect bombillas. You want to give a gourd to someone else, to a loved one, to a friend. Why not? You can never have enough. I believe I have around 22 gourds and 40 to 50 bombillas. Yeah, this was my experimental phase. I wanted to have everything. I wanted to try different bombillas and different gourds, different flavors and different gourds, even different thermoses. I never put sugar in a thermos, so I don't know. You can also do that, mix your mate sweeter. As far as I know, in Argentina, that's common for children when they drink mate for the first couple of years, because it's sweeter. But in the end, there's no perfect mate setup. There is no need to show off. What really matters is that it represents you, that it represents your personality, and that it reminds you to slow things down, to enjoy the moment more, to leave that chaotic world. All that matters in that moment is you and your drink. And that's the perfect setup for life. Yes, my friends, perfect setup for life. We have come to the end of this episode. Perfect setup for life. Trust the process. Change is good, and happiness is found on the other side of fear. I think those are phrases that remind me of what's important in life and where you should head it. Just follow your heart, follow your dreams if you can. If not, harbor it. let it linger around until you're ready to put your dreams into action. My friends from all over the world and now also in Denmark, again, shout out to my Danish listeners. Thanks for having tuned in. It was a long episode today. I love talking about yerba mate. It's just something that I love. And I turned my dream into reality. I own my own little mate store now. somosmateina.com. If you want to purchase something, sign up for a newsletter. You get 10% off on your first purchase. Or just contact me either on Somos Mateina on Instagram, or just take advantage of the chat window that you have on somosmateina.com with questions, with concerns, with comments. Drop a comment here on Apple Podcast or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. I have just one goal, and I want to grow the mate community. That is my utmost goal in the world. Thanks again for tuning in to today's episode, More Than a Cup, the art of building a mate setup. Don't forget to extend your mate setup, whether you collect it or drink it. Try different gourds, try different bombillas. You will see every mate tastes a little bit different when the material changes. So what can you expect next time? Because there's always a next time, because I never run out of topics. Next time, as I've already mentioned, is the story of how yerba mate ended up in Syria and Lebanon. We've already given away that Argentinian immigrants brought it, but there is a lot more to it. So tune in, and of course we also have the Sherba of the week. So thanks again for listening. I'm Thomas, your host. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, give us 5-star ratings, because we want to continue with this podcast. And if you ever want to be on my podcast, if you have anything that you want to share with me or our listeners in terms of your mate story or whatever you want to talk about, send me a message. Let me know that you want to be on my show, and we're gonna talk. Thank you very much. And don't forget, el café es para mortales. El mate para leyendas.